Welcome to Xomega videos. In the previous video, we learned how to create a new object model project and how to manually define objects in the XML. In the current video, I'm going to show you how to import your object model from an existing SQL Server database and then generate an entity data model for your business layer. First off, let's select the import from database generator and configure its database connection. Let's configure the connection string by selecting the SQL native client provider. Our data source is hosted on the local server, and we'll use the integrated Windows authentication. And our database is AdventureWorks, a sample database from Microsoft. Let's test the connection and click OK. The next tab allows us to pick which database tables to exclude from the model. We will want to include all the tables, so we'll just click Next. In the last tab, we can review the connection setup, and let's save it as the default project configuration so that other generators could use the same connection configuration. The default output path is structured as one file per table, broken down by module, which are derived from SQL Server schemas. These files will be stored in a directory called import and have an extension gen.xom. This is to allow you to easily clean these files without affecting other files, in case if you want to make some database changes and rerun the import. You can also configure some parameters as to whether to import table and column names so that they could be independent of your object names and field names. So let's run the generator. As you can see, it added the generated files to the model project. Let's open up the employee file. For each object field, it tried to find a logical type that would match the SQL type of the corresponding database table. If no suitable logical type exists, it will make up a new type and will add it to the model. This will make a working model, but clearly won't be very appropriate. We will want to refactor the types to make them more appropriate, and that's where Xomega refactoring capabilities will give you a lot of help. So let's pick the type string 256 for the login ID and go to the type definition. We want to give it a more appropriate name such as login, but this would also affect all fields that are using it. Let's take a look where it's actually being used by selecting Find All References. As you can see, that was only field that was using it, so we can go ahead and rename it and all the references that are using it. We can then move it to the same file where it's actually being used, which is employee. Now you can use this login type anywhere in the model, and it will always have the consistent length of 256 characters. However, if the type is used by several disparate fields, you may have to create individual types for each of them. So let's define a type gender and change the field to use this type. Essentially, this type represents one of two values, male or female, and stores them as a single character. To describe this in the model, let's create an enumeration called gender. That's going to have these two items. We're going to populate the standard name and value fields. But the model also supports defining additional properties for each enumeration. Now let's associate the type gender with the enumeration we just created. Voila! We have just accurately described the type gender, and Xomega also provides generators that can help use these enumerations in the code or in runtime, which we'll cover in later videos. As you make changes in the model that affect the underlying database structure, you can generate a SQL script that will apply these changes to the database. So let's remove the field row gid and generate a change script. Here. Let's open up the generated file and take a quick look. The script is designed to be rerunnable, so it checks if the column exists before dropping it. Well, finally, let's generate an entity data model for our business layer. Let's add a new C# project to our solution. We'll make it a WCF service library, and we'll call it adventureworks.entities. We need to configure our entity data model generator to output to this project location. So let's run the generator, and this will output the file to this location. And we want to include this generated file into the entities project. All right, let's open up the generated file and look at the entity model. This could be a good way of visualizing the object model, but you don't want to make any functional changes in there, since they will be lost the next time the model is regenerated. As you may know, Visual Studio also automatically generates C# classes for the entity data model that know how to save and read the data from the database, which you can use for your business layer. That's it. This concludes this video for building the business layer with Xomega.net. In the following videos, we're going to show you how to enhance your object model to define a service layer so that you could generate WCF service contracts as well as a WPF or Silverlight presentation layers. Thank you for watching.